Investigate TV is here.
You almost seem speechless.
Watch Investigate TV from the station that's on your side. This is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
4 years after the murder of a transgender woman, the wheels of justice are finally turning.
Plus, a local mom says her son is deathly afraid of going to school now after she says he was bullied and beaten.
And issues at Diamond Lakes Park continue as we ask city leaders where the money for this renovation is going. But first, all new at 6 o'clock, the family of a Grovetown boy attacked by dogs is suing the owner of those dogs.
The owner is Burt Baker. Baker's also charged with reckless conduct in the attack that left 11-year-old Justin Gilstrap maimed. Justin lost his ear, 80% of his scalp, and had bite marks all over his body. He also needed close to 10 surgeries. Justin's been in the hospital now for 26 days. Our Nick Veland is live in the newsroom, and after spending the day combing through that lawsuit, what did you find, Nick?
Yeah, well, that lawsuit goes after three main parties: the owner of the dog, Burt Baker, the owner of the property, Brenda Johnson, and 1 to 15 John or Jane Does who could still be added at a later date. Adam King, who filed the suit, says is for justice in Gilstrap.
It's about accountability for the people that are responsible for what happened to Justin Gilstrap, and it's about justice for Justin Gilstrap for everything that he's been through and everything that he's going to have to continue to endure.
King says that they're still in the investigative phase of the case, so he isn't ruling out adding employees for Columbia County just yet.
So I think we're looking at all options at this point. And like I said, the investigation is still pretty early on. This just happened a short while ago. And whatever the investigation uncovers is the area that will travel as far as holding people accountable.
As of now, he believes that there is enough to file suit against Burt Baker and Brenda Johnson.
We think that the evidence will turn out that Mr. Baker, Ms. Johnson, knew that these dogs were dangerous, knew that they had a history of violent, unpredictable, erratic behavior, and that as a result of that, they should have taken better care to make sure something like this didn't happen, and really should have not had dogs like this in the first place.
Due to the severity of the attack, the suit says that those at fault need to pay for all damages, which include medical bills, and says that there's no limitation regarding the amount which can be awarded due to the negligence from the owners.
And punitive damages are available in cases like this, and where there's been a reckless, willful, wanton indifference to consequences, reckless indifference to consequences. And we certainly think that's the case here.
And from here, Burt Baker and Brenda Johnson have 30 days to respond to the lawsuit. Then there's a discovery process, which King says takes around 6 months before a trial date is set, which will then go in front of a jury of Columbia County citizens.
We'll be following that story, Nick. Thanks for the update there. A live look now as we give you a look out.
Yes, in just about 10 minutes.
All right, thanks, Riley. 2 men are now charged in the death of a transgender woman killed back in 2019. Family knew her as Wrdw. The Department of Justice announcing Wrdw is charged with a hate crime and obstruction of justice. Xavier Pinckney is charged with obstruction of justice and giving false statements to authorities. But even with those federal charges, South Carolina authorities still can't charge either with a hate crime. Our Wrdw is live in the studio to explain why.
Yeah, South Carolina is one of only 2 states without a hate crimes law in place right now. The bill was sitting in the Senate last year, but lawmakers did not approve it by the end of their session in May. That forced hate crime charges to come from the federal level after Wrdw's murder. The indictment alleges that Ritter shot Wrdw, a transgender woman, because of Doe's actual and perceived gender identity. The hate crime count against Ritter carries a maximum penalty of life in prison. The counts charging Ritter and Pinckney with obstruction of justice carry a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. According to the Human Rights Campaign, 2021 was marked as the deadliest year for gender diverse people, with last year still being above normal. They report fatal violence affects transgender women of color, primarily black transgender women. It's a lot more than other characters, but we talked to a local spokesperson for the mother of Felicia Harris, a transgender woman who was murdered in Augusta in 2020, and the mother of Keisha Chanel Jeter, who was shot and killed at the Knights Inn Hotel last year. They're working to start an organization called A Mother's Fight to stop violence in the LGBTQ community.
It's not going to happen overnight that laws are going to be written to protect against hate crimes in South Carolina, let alone the lives of the transgender population in South Carolina. It goes all the way up to the governor. Henry McMaster, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to protect these other individuals that reside in your state.
And I talked with an organization called South Carolina Equality and PFLAG who say there's a need for a hate crimes bill right here in South Carolina because if the federal government doesn't want to charge a person for a hate crime, the state has no option to do it on their own.
And as Will just mentioned, South Carolina lawmakers failed to pass a hate crimes bill in last year's session. Several lawmakers are pushing to get that done this time around. On the Georgia side, we do have a hate crime law in place. That one came after the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office is investigating a deadly shooting early this morning. The coroner says that victim is 29-year-old Theodis Hassan. They say the shooting happened just before 3 in the morning on Hollis Road and 2nd Avenue. That's near Darty Park. No word yet on any suspects in that deadly shooting.
A deadly accident also in Augusta this morning. Just in the last couple of hours, the coroner telling us 81-year-old Lewis Nelson of Sylvania is the driver who died. And you can see the front of that car completely taken apart. Just shows how bad that accident was. Deputies responded to the crash just before 9:30 this morning on Deansbridge Road at Willis Foreman Road. The coroner says Nelson was heading south on Deansbridge Road when he crashed with an 18-wheeler. Still not clear what caused the crash. All new at 6 o'clock, an Allendale mother sharing her son's story after she says he was bullied and beaten. Now she says Xavion is deathly afraid to go to school. This is some video of the fight his mom gave us. Incident reports show it happened at Allendale Fairfax Middle School in the bathroom a week ago. The mother says her son has a social communication disorder and is a part of the LGBTQ community. She says she feels this was a targeted attack.
Because these are teenagers, these are preteens, but that's exactly what it is. You targeted him and you use these racial slurs. You targeted him because of his LGBT affiliation. You targeted him because of his social communication disorder. You felt like you could say whatever and do whatever, and you felt like because he was already struggling that he wouldn't be able to get his point across. So to take those three things and to target it, is awful.
Our Hallie Turner shares the mom's full story and what she's doing about it tonight on News 12 at 11.
Coming up on Friday, Georgia, U.S. Senator John Ossoff will announce new plans to help flooding issues in McDuffie County. The flood prevention system is targeted at 1st Avenue and Main Street in Thompson. For years, we've reported on issues there in Thompson anytime we get a heavy rain, but this is just video from this past summer of the flooding there. We're going to be at this announcement Friday. We'll explain those planned upgrades just as soon as we get those details. Bathrooms at Diamond Lakes Park out of service again. We went to take a look and saw some dirty sinks, toilets, and trash in the restrooms.
Back in September, Commissioner Alvin Mason told us they'd set aside more than $500,000 to fix these issues. 5 months later, there's still problems. Craig Allison live now at Diamond Lakes. Craig, it seems like everyone knows the problem. What we don't know is when it will get fixed.
Yeah, y'all, the city says that these towers have been an issue for Diamond Lakes going all the way back to 2012 when they first opened up. Well, since 2019, more than $900,000 have gone into fixing these buildings that keep having issues.
Being a guy, whatever, we're going to run into the woods, though, but on the other hand, not being a female or something, they can't do what we would do,
Theodore Collin, Bama to his friends, walks here at Diamond Lakes most every morning for the past 8 years. While he doesn't mind using the porta potties that are available, he would like to know why they keep being closed.
I think they should open them, if they should be open, though, but I don't know the reason why they close them again. So every time something happens, there's got to be a reason why they did it.
More than $900,000 has already been poured into fixing the drainage system, plumbing, and floor work since 2019, but it goes back even further.
And I believe starting back in 2012 that it was a separate issue that was causing the leaking, so that was corrected, and then it's just been a multiple of things that has kind of spiraled.
Multiple contractors have worked on this issue since 2019, but administration says Universal Plumbing has yet to be held accountable for work that was paid but not done. Moving forward with a new contractor, they hope to fully understand the full extent of this issue in the coming weeks.
Once we get back to work on these buildings, we'll know that the end product will give us what we need and to have those towers up and running for the next 20, 30 years.
So that Augusta's most popular public park can be ready for spring. And Director Lampkin says that while he doesn't have a timeline for this, he's very hopeful about getting this all up and functioning by the spring when Diamond Lakes hits its peak season. In South Augusta, Craig Allison on your side.
Yeah, should be able to buy some really nice bathrooms for $500,000, so keep us posted, Craig. One of the most memorable days of any high school athlete's life. Coming up, a look at signing day across the CSRA.
And it was warm and dry today, but we got cold, rainy conditions moving in for our Thursday and early Friday. Update on the full forecast just after the break.
Finest in men's clothing. On your sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
It's National Signing Day, which means some of our local athletes are finally putting pen to paper, making it official that they're playing the sports they love in college. Let's start with running back Jontavius Curry, who helped lead the Thompson Bulldogs to their first state championship in 2 decades. He's signed to play for Hutchinson Community College. Curry is a big play waiting to happen, and in the state championship game, he ran for 243 yards and scored 4 touchdowns, 2 of which were in the fourth quarter with the game on the line to secure the victory.
It's amazing. Like, I came a long way, and it's been a good 2 years at Thompson High School. They did everything they could. It's been a nice journey, and now I'm finally going to do something that I love and going to make something of it.
Lakeside had 6 student athletes sign the dotted line, including kicker Will Hadaway, who will be taking his talents to play between the hedges for the 2-time defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs. Hadaway is Lakeside's all-time leader in field goals made and points scored and extra points. Over in South Carolina, Barnwell had 4 football players sign their letters of intent today, one of them being running back Tyler Smith, who was a finalist for Mr. South Carolina this year. Smith is making everyone in his family proud by continuing their legacy at South Carolina State University.
Definitely a big day for those student athletes. Thank you for covering that for us, Dan. Beautiful sunset.
Where we live is constantly growing, changing, evolving.
Have you seen Columbia County?
That's why our newscasts are evolving to fit your schedule.
Your days are always different, so your newscast should be too.
If it happens in our area, you'll see it first at 4.
And for the latest updates and breaking news, that's Live at 5. Then it's all new at 6 o'clock as we dig deeper into local stories, including investigations you'll only see by our IT.
No matter how you end your day, News 12 is on your side. Right now, there's no law on the books in South Carolina that criminalizes trafficking fentanyl, but that could soon change with the House of Representatives passing a fentanyl trafficking bill just today. State House reporter Mary Green is in Columbia for us.
We did something today that lets the dealers and traffickers know that South Carolina is doing something about fentanyl coming into South Carolina and killing our children.
Under this legislation, people convicted for the first time of possessing at least 4 grams of drugs containing fentanyl face a mandatory minimum of 7 years in prison. Those caught with larger quantities could be behind bars for up to 40 years.
This is the top level. This is not a kid with a pill. This is 40 pills, 60 pills, 80 pills, 100. This is significant weight of probably the most dangerous chemical we've seen.
The bill got unanimous support among House Republicans.
We need to make sure that those who are trafficking drugs and fentanyl that harm the children of the state are going to be treated harshly and swiftly.
But some Democrats argued this bill will create more problems than it solves, saying mandatory minimum sentences have not been proven to deter people from dealing and using drugs.
An individual should be allowed to go in front of a judge and say, "Judge, I have no record. Judge, I'm not violent. I've never hurt anybody. I've never been in trouble in my entire life. I thought I had 7 Xanax pills."
House Minority Leader Todd Rutherford argued this bill should have distinguished between pills containing fentanyl, which people with substance use disorders may possess without realizing they contain fentanyl, and powder fentanyl, which he says would mark criminals who are trafficking the drug.
We have to delineate between those persons that are unreasonably snared in this process and those dealers. I'm after the dealers, they're not. What they're after is a bumper sticker. And until we stop the bumper sticker politics, until we move on to the science and the data that tells us what makes a difference, all we're doing in this case is putting lives in jeopardy.
Mary Green reporting there for us. Bills to criminalize fentanyl trafficking and create a charge of fentanyl-induced homicide. Both advanced out of that Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday. So the next stop for all this is debate on the Senate floor.
Exciting news for pickleball fans and players in Aiken. This week, city leaders announced a grant paying for 2 new courts at Smith Hazel Park. You will have to wait a little while to play, though. The project's still expected to be 1 to 2 years out, so hope pickleball's still exciting by then. But
it's going strong.
Over at Virginia Acres, they're working to add 4 more pickleball courts even faster. We learned today work for those starts this spring. So, yeah, one of the fastest growing sports in America.
Everybody's into it.
Love it. Okay, growing up, kids pick up starter jobs. Maybe you cut the grass. Maybe you sold lemonade.
But our Will Vogt found a kid who took a different route, turning his chickens into profit.
Excuse me. I love my chickens and I love my business that I have started.
11-year-old Fallon Williams turned part of his parents' yard into a pasture.
I just look in here every morning, check for eggs, and I also check their food and water so that they don't get too low.
Fallon comes out here a few times a day to check on his chickens. He has almost 30.
My dad said that I should probably work for the thing I want, which is my computer, instead of just getting it.
To get that gaming computer he wants, Fallon has to earn it. He thought this would be a good way to do it.
Working for something that you get, you'll understand how much that thing is worth.
Using social media, he's selling the multicolored eggs his chickens lay for $6 a dozen. With egg prices these days, Fallon says the demand is there.
I have this giant list, 1 page front and back. It's completely full, so we had to start another page.
His chickens have trouble keeping up. He says together they lay about a dozen eggs a day.
You just have to wait and have patience.
But Fallon knows if he keeps it up, one day he'll earn enough. Fallon Williams is earning a few bucks and learning a few things too. In Aiken, Will Vogt, on your side.
A young businessman right
he
there.
He picked a great time to get into the egg business.
Didn't he, though?
Man, his
Perfect.
margins just skyrocketed.
Yeah. And the plan is to nearly double the number of chickens by this summer. He says he's going to keep selling eggs to save money for a house after he gets that computer.
Yeah, I mean, he might can get some subcontractors at this point. I mean, that
retiring
ROI
at 30 years old.
Yeah,
That's what
it's great. But if you're interested in reaching out, if you want some fresh eggs, we have a link to his page on our website. We've got more News 12 coming up right after this break.
Hey guys, I'm Anna Christina, and if you're a homeowner looking to make improvements to your home this spring, there's a product now available that's going to save you thousands of dollars on your home's most important investment, your roof. Roof rejuvenation from Roof Savers will add 5 to 15 years of life to your existing roof without having to go through an expensive roof replacement. I'm here with Russell Beckham, and he's one of the owners of Roof Savers that's helping homeowners save big money with roof rejuvenation. Russell, explain the roof rejuvenation process from Roof Savers.
Roof rejuvenation is the process of reintroducing the protective qualities back into the asphalt shingles, such as the flexibility, the granular adhesion, and also adding resistance to impact, such as hail.
You can extend the life of your roof from 5 up to 15 years, and that's because it's been lab tested.
You're absolutely correct, Anna. The company that tests our product is named PRI Asphalt Technologies, and they are a global leader in materials testing. So people can rest assured the product does what we say it does.
That's pretty amazing. Call now for a free roof inspection and see if your roof qualifies for roof rejuvenation from Roof Savers. The number's on the screen right now, but don't just take it from Russell and me. Listen to some of our happy customers.
I was just in the backyard the other day, doing yard work and stuff, and I can't help but to look at my roof because the way it looked before and the way it looks now is just unbelievable.
To not do this doesn't make any sense financially. It appears we probably saved around $20,000 by doing this process.
The color has come back to original. It's been months and months, and the heat and everything else, the shingles are beautiful.
Save money in 2023 by extending the life of your roof by 5 to 15 years.
Call the number on the screen right now for a free roof inspection and